Namaste and welcome to the Curvy Yogini Spotlight. My name is Dana Smith and I'm the author of Yes, Yoga Has Curves. I have the pleasure and honor of interviewing Kimberly Dark today. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Dana.
So thank you so much for allowing us to feature you. Can you tell us a little bit about your yoga journey, how you began, what inspired you to start it?
Yeah, I can. You know, I'm a fat adult who was a fat kid, and so I was always discouraged from doing, physical activity. It's that double bind, like you're supposed to do something to rehabilitate yourself, but yet you're not really supposed to be visible. So I grew up like that, right? Like trying to avoid pain and humiliation like people do. But then later on, I realized, wow, actually, my body is maybe not as fast as some, but really powerful. And so, I became interested in kind of like aerobics and dance kind of fitness stuff first. But then came yoga because I hurt my back and when my son was small. And so this has been like 25 years ago. And, it was a really simple kind of, I think a lot of people come to yoga because of that, right? Like I need to find something I can do that might rehabilitate my painful parts. And so it started out that way. And then when I sought out actually a yoga studio rather than just kind of, an adult school, I mean, because, 25 years ago, there weren't studios on every street corner.
Right.
And so, it was still like, in a big drafty adult school kind of gym cafeteria space, we did this thing once a week. And when I sought out a studio, though, I realized again, oh, wow, this is the same deal. The very first studio I went to, she took one look at my body and said, no, you're not really invited to practice in a group class. You'd have to do a private or you'd have to do, and I was like, but I came here with my friend and we've been doing the same classes for the last couple years and why, so I did find a studio that, was happy to welcome me and a teacher I really connected with. And that was my path into teaching yoga because, I became a regular student there and then I did an apprenticeship with her that lasted a couple of years in that studio. And so that was my path in, but it was all because my back hurt and, I was still trying to repair that childhood relationship with a body that was not always respected.
Right. And it's interesting because I had a similar experience. I started yoga 14 years ago, and I'm very perceptive. And I'd been doing yoga at home. And I remember the teacher, she cued something that really made me feel suffocated. And I was caught up in the asana, and she was just kind of like, she didn't know what to do with me. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to figure this out myself. But for me, yoga proved to me that I was a lot stronger than I had given myself credit for. I grew up with like a lot of ailments like asthma. And when I started to do yoga, I found that this was the thing that made me feel just really strong. Do you get that on the mat?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm in a different place in my life than I have been. Of course, the body changes over time, right? And all through my 30s and early 40s, I had a very powerful yoga practice, and I've developed some arthritis now in my left in particular, and so I'm learning like how to work with this body,
Right.
and I mean, and I guess that's the thing that yoga invites us to do so consistently through the course of our lives is to acknowledge this is the body today. Okay, now this is the body today. Now this is, and there's constantly a relearning there. But yeah, I totally have that experience and definitely did. Like it was pivotal for me when I first was practicing to, really like daily practice, that to realize, oh no, actually my body is quite powerful. And like I still have, I think, a timid body, right? Like I remember my teacher would say, she would come over and just sort of gently say, okay, so you actually do have the structural ability to practice scorpion. Just let me know when you want to do it.
Right.
And I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm all right coming upside down, but I'm not gonna, no, well, and so, I joked that I was on the 10-year plan with learning headstand because that I was timid.
Right.
But I think sometimes that serves me, teacher, in understanding and having more compassion for people's, because sometimes it's not about the strength in the body. It's about, what's happening in your head to say, am I capable?
Yes. And especially if we've spent so many years of people telling us that we can't because of this reason or that reason, reasons that are inherently who we are, it's discouraging. But then to find someone look at, our structure and our strengths and say, if you really put your mind to it or leave your ego outside, you could actually do it.
Yeah.
And the great thing about yoga, it grows with us. Now I'm seeing that I have like a lot of older practitioners, and it's awesome to see someone that's coming and saying, you know what, I'm not going to be doing those chaturangas and those headstands and all arm balances forever, but I'm going to stay doing my yoga. So I think that that's really encouraging. Right. Our needs change as we get older.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you had a curvy yogini that's just new to yoga and, they may be a little bit discouraged about, what they're seeing around, how would you encourage them to take that first step? What guidance would you give them?
Mm-hmm. Do you know, here's the thing for me is what's interesting is I've found, curvy or not, a lot of people are coming to the mat with the same kind of anxieties about their bodies. Not everybody, of course, but so, I feel like the talk that I do through a yoga class is for everybody, because I never know, I don't know who that talk is reaching, right?
Right.
And, and the talk is, for me, the talk that is consistent in a yoga class is to remind folks that yoga is for the body you have today, not the body you had last week or the body you had 10 years ago or the body you might have in another year if you stop eating ice cream, or the body that you might have in 10 years if you practice every day, because we do that kind of craziness in our own heads about, and it's like, no, actually, this is for the body of today, and this body is worthy. And I find 100 ways to say that. And, and so that's the, I think that's the first key to encouraging anybody to practice yoga. And it might be the curvy gal that needs to hear that, but it might just as well be somebody who looks slender and athletic. And I don't know that they need to hear that.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I needed to hear that today. I had a stomach flu for about 4 days. It took me down. I couldn't get out of my bed. And just yesterday, I felt really inspired to practice. And I was doing some great things, back bending and all that stuff. And as I came to my mat, my body felt foreign. And I kept comparing myself to just like last week. Then I had to just sit down. I did some pranayama and meditation. I say, if that's meant to come back into the body, it's meant to come back. So, every day the body is different. As the weather changes, as our circumstances, as our emotions change, our bodies change. So we have to go from there, work your practice from there, not there. But thank you. I really needed that. So what is your favorite asana? Do you have one?
That changes all the time, right? Because of the thing that we just were saying. I think that my consistently favorite asana is downward dog. I mean, it seems so simple to say, but that's the truth, because it's doing so many things at once. Like if I can get a downward dog in, it's a good morning. I'm right now, because of the particular foot pain and stuff that I'm dealing with. The supine hip openers are a favorite as well.
Nice. And down dog.
It's about the body, it's about like, okay, well, what feels right today?
Right. And I always say down dog's a full body pose. You know,
Uh-huh.
for my students that will be watching this, you see. So, you know, asanas, it's great, but, you know, I also teach my students that meditation is a huge component of yoga practice. Do you meditate? And if you do, what kind of tools do you use?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a long time meditator, but I also am. I don't know. I joke sometimes like I'm such a lay practitioner. I'm almost horizontal. Like it comes and goes for me. What do I want to say? The depth of my meditation practice and the consistency of it comes and goes. But I still think of myself as a long-term meditator because it never goes away.
Right.
Um, so so I do a variety of things. You know, I've practiced at a small country Zen center for years. I did that, and so you know we did walking meditation and also seated meditation. I've learned a lot from Thich Nhat Hanh and the kind of simple breathe in, breathe out mantras
Yes.
that he offers. And I like that a great deal. So those are still kind of my mainstay, but I'm more in the and also just simple pranayama, I suppose. You know, the expanding the breath slowly. You know, just focusing on expanding the breath and so those are my usual thing, but I'm more in the 5 to 10 minutes a day category right now, but it still is an important thing for me to to feel that I have some capacity to calm the mind.
Yes.
And you know, like you gotta remember that that's possible to even use the tools, right?
Right. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. I love Thich Nhat Hanh, and you know, I've read a lot of his stuff, and what I found is that he said that everything can be a meditation.
Yeah.
You know, you're cooking your meal can be a meditation. You're cleaning your car, it can be a meditation. So, you know, the practice can be 5 to 10 minutes is awesome. If I can get that in every day around the craziness, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
But I notice, you know, it really sets the tone, and it really helps you be more mindful of, you know, every step that you take. So, yeah.
That's a really good point. And I think of that teaching of his as well. And sometimes, so, like, I'm a fan of quiet, actually. And, you know, like when I'm working, I like it quiet. When I'm, you know, like, and sometimes even in the car, like I'll remember his thoughts on driving meditation, you know, the idea that you're just doing one thing at a time.
Right.
You know, like sometimes I'll go, oh, I think I actually just want to turn off the radio right now in the car and just drive. And obviously I'm doing something that's taking my attention, but you're right. It's that quality of focus on a thing, as opposed to all willing to do nothing.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. So you know, in my studio, I'm big on practicing your yoga off the mat. Like there's something that you're bringing to your mat and you're working it out through asana, pranayama, and the meditation. How do you take your yoga off the mat? How do you take the things that you've learned and like apply them in your life outside of the studio, you know, off the mat?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a thing that I talk about in teaching quite a bit, about how, you know, everything that we're doing on the yoga mat. I mean, this is the thing for me about asana practice, is that it's a multi-layered practice. Sure, we're doing this thing that is positive for the body in terms of longevity, but we're also inserting metaphors into the body that are useful outside of the yoga practice. And so, you know, the idea of like building balance, strength, and flexibility in one's life as opposed to just in one's body. But of course, you know, like the body is wow. I of the body as being both an expression of what we do, and also that that things can originate in the body, you know, right? It's a two-way thing. And I think about the Irish poet John O'Donoghue talks about how he thinks that it's backwards, that the soul is in the body, but rather that the body is in the soul. That the soul is like something that extends beyond us, and that the way that we live and inhabit the body can influence, the way our soul expresses itself in the world. And I like that idea, right? Because there's not a, just a linear relationship between the body and the rest of the life. So I'm not sure I can answer your question in a really clean, simple way about how did yoga actually come into my life. But I think of those things as not is totally permeable. That that balance, learning balance on the mat is learning balance in my life, and similarly, finding balance in areas of my life transfers into my calmness and stability in the yoga practice too.
That's a perfect answer. Perfect answer. Totally understand. So, Kimberly, are you involved in any SEVA community service efforts?
SEVA?
Uh-huh.
Well, not specifically. Say more about what you mean.
So, I always like to take yoga to places in the community that they don't have access to it. Places where they think that, well, yoga's not for me because, I can't move a certain way. Yoga's not for me because I'm too old, or I don't have enough money to do yoga. So we go out into the community and we teach yoga. All ages, sizes, ability, classification.
Yeah. I have to say I'm not directly trying to take a yoga practice to any specific community, but I take yoga with me wherever I go.
Right.
And so what that's translated into for me has been offering classes, offering, yoga pauses in the workshops that I do at campuses that I visit, because I do storytelling performances, and, I'm a writer as well. And so sometimes that's like new and unique, right? And especially when somebody goes, oh, well, somebody's doing a yoga class, and then they see my body coming, looking different than what folks think of as the yoga teacher. I think that in and of itself is a public service to sort of be a public yogi.
Definitely.
Rather than, so that's, I love the idea of bringing yoga to communities where it's not practiced. Every time I'm driving up the 5 freeway in California and I see all those people picking strawberries, I think, wow, I hope somebody's offering
right
yoga and stretching, but it's not been me.
But, we can offer service to the community in any way. It doesn't have to be you structuring something and going out. It can just be us, identifying that there's a need to show something different. Yeah. And we may not specifically be going out, but we may inspire someone else to go out into the community.
That's true. My biggest feeling about service is the idea of living an undivided life in a public sort of way. And what I mean by undivided is that my values are not disconnected from my livelihood. My practice is not disconnected from my ideology. My sense of love is not disconnected based on who I like and who I don't like. That there's so many ways I think that our culture prompts us to live a divided life. And so like I wouldn't have said that when I was younger, but I feel like the older I've gotten, like I understand there is some kind of value that people get out of first of all seeing bodies that are not the usual doing things, right? It doesn't have to be yoga, it could be other stuff, but also the idea of just being in presence with people who are, mindful of not dividing themselves.
Right, right.
Is
Yeah,
important.
and I told that could be like a whole another long conversation. I've been having it for a while, and it's interesting. I didn't recognize this when I was younger. The older I get, the more I see it.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, another conversation. So do you have anyone, any yoga inspirations? Not necessarily someone that does asana, but someone that just kind of embodies the yoga principles.
Wow. There's a load of people, and I'm like you and I are acquainted in part through the Yoga and Body Image Coalition,
Yes.
and I feel grateful to be in the company of many of the people that are working on those efforts. I think that's the for me, that's the key, actually, is to remain inspired by the small everyday acts of the people that I interact with. And I love the idea of having kind of the bigger mentors too, and people who I appreciate and like that. But it's people that you actually see and touch and work with. And like when we first got on this call this morning, I just felt such gratitude for your efforts and what you're doing. And
my little cough. I always have this cough. But
you're still getting over something.
Still getting over it, but it's just very real. This is very real, and I agree. It's just like the inspiration doesn't have to be something that everyone knows. The inspiration is you. It's someone that came to yoga and they had a lot of things going on, but they stuck to it. You know?
And I think it's quite true that it's good for us to realize people don't have to be perfect people to be inspirational. And, and it's okay to be inspired by something somebody does and to be disappointed in them another day. Yeah. And, because that's very real. And I hope that the people who are inspired by me care about me enough that if I am having difficulties, that they would point it out, because that's the danger of the pedestal, isn't it? Is that suddenly people don't sort of treat each other like they're human, and we all need help. Yeah, we all need help sometimes. Goodness, if we're out, I don't know. I've been thinking about this recently, and watching a certain group that I'm part of online just have such tremendous difficulties. The people, sniping at each other and about very important issues that are, painful to deal with. And and I'm just trying to hold so much compassion for everybody's struggle there, and seeing people that I sometimes their work I admire, and then go, oh, well, that was a rough thing you just said,
right?
but I can still hold love and admiration for somebody,
right.
A difficult moment.
Right. And I think just being very honest and transparent and saying, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
So, to close this out, I ask you to finish this sentence for me. I love my curves because.
I love my curves because what's the alternative?
Right.
I mean, right. Really, the every day I wake up and this is what is.
Right.
And when something, becomes different, then I love that. I mean, it is the challenge that we have. That is the thing that we do again and again, is re-love ourselves in the face of everything else.
Yes. So, Kimberly, you're awesome. I wish I had so much more time. But for those that want to follow you and learn more about you and what you're doing, can you give us some information how to get in contact with you? We have a newsletter, website.
Yeah, sure. So the web at kimberlydark.com is your gateway to all things, and that is there's a place to click there where you can read articles that I've written. I've written quite a bit about yoga and the body and other aspects of the body and culture. You know, because I'm a sociologist by training, and I do storytelling performances about the body and culture. So all of that is there at KimberlyDark.com, in addition to a calendar of where I'm doing live performances. And there's also a place to sign up for a quarterly newsletter that I write about the body and culture, and also about upcoming events, because I do 2 yoga retreats a year in Hawaii at Kalani, which is it's a gift of a retreat center too. You know, 3 gorgeous meals a day, and it's rustic, but still really pleasant and pampered. Like you can, you know, beautiful pool, and you can book massage and that, but it's not a resort at all. And so 2 of those a year. The next one is coming up just in about 3 weeks from now, like December 14th, I think we start, and then the next one in June. So those are 5-day retreats, and those are focused on yoga and story. So we're using yoga and nature and you know, our group interactions to try and get at the stories that we carry in our bodies, and so it's a fun retreat. There's some you know, when you go to click on the link for the retreat, there's some participant responses there that kind of help you understand like what's actually happening there. But the activities are meant to be fun rather than confrontational or therapeutic. But so yeah, it's a yoga and story retreat. So that's how folks can connect with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you all.
Thank you. Yay, you.
You know, it's just an honor to do this, and I'm glad that we're back. So if anyone watching knows of any other inspirational, beautiful, curvy yoginis, please visit the Yes Yoga Has Curves Facebook page. You can leave us a message or comment, and so we can get them up, because we need more inspiration. And again, Kimberly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dana.
And a pleasure. So Yes Yoga Has Curves Volume 2 coming out soon. Check us out online, Facebook, Yes Yoga Has Curves, and www.yesyogahascurves.com. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.